A Help Guide 2024 report states that so many men are dying in silence. Domestic abuse against men, they say, takes the form of physical violence, emotional, verbal, or sexual abuse from nagging wives and at times their children. Men are often reluctant to report abuse because they feel embarrassed, fear they would not be believed, and do not want to be mocked at by the society, or are scared that their partners would take revenge. And while they are scared, women who say they are victims of domestic violence do not stay quiet. They even argue that more than 60 cases of femicide have been reported in less than a year in Cameroon, indicating that women bear the brunt of domestic violence more than men. So today we are discussing on the theme domestic violence. Are men or women more at risk? And our guests are Moma Janet, a trauma caregiver from Mending Minds. Welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you, sir.
What is trauma caregiver? Who is a trauma caregiver, and what is Mending Minds?
Mending Minds is a mental health organization that focuses on trauma healing for victims of any form of violence, post-traumatic stress disorder, postpartum depression, and other mood disorders.
You're based in Yaoundé?
We are based in Yaoundé.
You're welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Cornelia Mesodi Sube is a philosopher. Welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, tell us more about your activities. I mean, philosopher, I was asking myself if that's what you do on a daily basis. Or...
Well, I'm a teacher of philosophy, and I don't really know whether the appellation philosopher really suits, but yes, we as philosophers, especially in this context where we are, we try to bring out the truth, the actual truth of what is happening, the reality. We try to maybe evaluate a situation dialectically. I know that here maybe we are to be placed on different sides, who are for women and who are for men, but a philosopher looks at the issue dialectically on the two sides and then comes out with a kind of a synthesis concerning the issue and a way forward.
You're going to be very useful for us today, madam. Welcome to the program. We have Ernest Akufo, a civil society member. Ernest, welcome to the program.
The pleasure is shared, Moki.
What came to your mind when you saw this topic? Domestic violence, are men or women more at risk?
When I saw the topic, what came to my mind is, first of all, it is established that there is violence. Yes, domestic violence. You see, the compound word for itself speaks everything. Domestic violence back at home. And when you talk about violence, what are we talking about? You're talking about a situation where either the man or the woman is being battered, either battered psychologically, physically, morally, or coerced. So when I saw it, I said to myself, this should be a good topic for discussion, because many people in the family circle, they suffer it, but they don't express themselves.
Okay, thank you, sir. Reverend Tabimba William is an educationist. Welcome to the program, Reverend.
It's a pleasure.
Where's your church? What's the name of your own church?
The name of the church, the Lord Mission Ministry.
I hope you are not in the darkness of,
I am Medwin.
With the government of Cameroon.
I am.
I know there are ceiling churches in your own where you come from.
I am. I will pray for Cameroon and the authorities.
Was your own church sealed?
My church is sealed for 3 weeks now.
Do you call it some sort of violence?
I don't know what is violence. I think that's violence against churches.
No, the government of Cameroon says you must have your papers, you must be authorized to function, and you don't have that authorization. Because
there is a problem of legality and legitimacy.
48 churches that are legal and authorized in Cameroon. I didn't see your own church.
Are they issuing the decrees now?
Okay, Pastor.
Can you answer me?
We shall discuss the sealing of churches some other time.
Thank you.
And then domestic violence now.
Yeah, it's quite a topical issue that we are going through, because the way society has become, violence is a daily issue that some of us in the church, with the Christians, we face everyday complaints here and there, both for men and women. And when we go through, we see what are the reasons.
We're not getting into it yet now. I just wanted to know if it is a topic.
It is a topic. It is a topical issue.
This is Twilight. This is CRTV News. I am Moki Edwin Kinziken Yaoundé. I'll be right back. Reverend Tabimba William, you started defining what this domestic violence is all about and the magnitude of the problem in the society now.
Yeah, it's quite a serious problem. I think violence or abuse is a sense of pressure that is being exerted without domestic. That means there is intimacy between loved ones. One is being exerted pressure on the victim. And as I'm sitting here today, I'm to defend men that are at risk. I know my colleague will be defending the women. Generally, I think we shall come to a conclusion. But I want to say, Mr. Edwin, we in the field, you really need to go through spiritually, psychologically, or financially to really see what men are going through. Mm-hmm. It's a real problem because many men are traumatized. And with our tradition, you find it very difficult for a man to stand up and say, a woman has beaten me. It is very difficult. You would have hardly find that. I can give an illustration. I grew up and I had a battered husband. The wife would come back and beat when we hear crying. Before we go, the woman would lie down and the man lied on top of her. The man was trying to defend, but the man was dying silently. I can cite you so many cases.
Please give a few cases. Let's get the fact.
There are cases where many women, is it insult, is it abuse, in front of the children, in the home. There are men who cry. And as you rightly said there, many men, you know, we live in a world of chauvinism. Men are meant to be there to assume everything. Hardly do they, even if they go to the police, they'll be mocked at that you are wiggling. And that's what the problem is. And we live in a society where we get civilization from the South or the Western world, where a lot has been given to the women. The least thing, you have Ministry for Women, you have a Women Day, you have this, you have that. So everything and component, they have said women are weak. And we men are left. I think we are going to create a day for men and a ministry for men.
Cornelia Misodi Sube, you've heard that women are battered more than men. I mean, domestic violence, women suffer. I mean, men suffer from what Reverend is saying, apparently more than the women.
Yes, men don't suffer more than the women. I disagree with Reverend. To me, from my experiences and experiences of people around me, it is very clear that women are more vulnerable to domestic violence, especially when it gets to physical violence, where women sustain injuries, physical injuries. Some are even rendered disabled, where women sustain pregnancy complications, where women even sustain, some even die. We have had a lot of situations about that.
So, about 60 cases reported already since 3 months or so.
Yeah, and the woman is more vulnerable because the man is physically stronger than the woman. Even though Reverend is saying that, yes, some women, that's the case of some, that's a minority. And sometimes men suffer from the effects of what they had done. And the woman who is so vulnerable and has no other way to defend herself, looks for desperate means. It is said that a desperate man does desperate things. And that is when sometimes the men now fall victims to such situations.
Mama Janet, what's your own take about that?
Well, as far as domestic violence is concerned, based on my personal experience and observation, I would say both men and women are at risk. Because we've had cases of men who are not just... The thing is, when we talk about domestic violence, we have been programmed to think only of the physical part of it. But there are a lot of men that are suffering from domestic violence in the hands of their wives. For example, one of the key causes of domestic violence against men is unemployment. I have seen situations where a man is the sole provider and everything is fine. He loses his job and then he becomes a joke in the presence of his family. His wife makes fun of him, does terrible things to him, doesn't give him food. It's funny how when the man is the breadwinner, everything is fine. When the woman becomes the breadwinner, the woman becomes very rude, But then again, I would say that's why I say it's both ways.
But see, Pastor
Because-
is nothing. Okay, go ahead. Just go
Yes,
ahead.
I look at it both ways because our organization has had a lot of confrontations with both men and women. The thing is, most of the men don't want to talk about it. That's why we have a slot in our organization that focuses on men. We get to them one-on-one, and you hear men pour out their hearts in ways you could not understand. For example, why do you think bars are full of men? A lot of men leave from work and they don't want to go home. They don't want to go home because their houses have been made uncomfortable for them. So they prefer to stand somewhere, sit with their friends, gist, and have drinks. But on the other hand too, women go through a lot of domestic violence. I've seen cases where men beat their women. I've witnessed it. They beat a woman who just put to birth, went back home. 3 days later, she had a problem with her husband. Her husband beat her to unconsciousness. I don't know what she did, but I feel like whatever she had done, she didn't really deserve something like that. That is the reason for the fact that I've seen both men and women suffering from the impacts of domestic violence. I take a stand that they are both at risk.
Now,
Yeah.
and it's a Kufo.
Yes, I can.
What's your own take about that?
Well, Muki, as I did say, domestic violence or family violence is a reality. And in as much as that is concerned, I want to say the women, though considered the weaker sex, in quotes, are stronger morally to withstand domestic violence than the men. In the sense that, as Madame was rightly saying, the men are escapists to domestic violence.
That's it.
They are escapists to domestic violence, whereas the women, they face domestic violence cruelly. It is only when domestic violence extrapolates or becomes physical that the man dominates over the woman. But when it is psychological, the women, they torture the men.
The women torture the men.
There is no gainsaying about that.
Yeah.
How does that happen? You know what makes a married home, right? Consummation of love. That is where the women, they torture the men.
Sexual violence.
Sexual violence. Because you hear people talk about rape in a marital home. I think that's a whole topic for a bit of discussion for itself. Rape, I don't know why the legal minds, they say there is rape in a marital home. Should there be rape in a marital home? I don't think so.
It should be.
Because if the woman is not in the mood, hey, it's not only women who force men who force women into that, right? Some women too do. So if one of the partners is not in the mood, I think there should be a ground for complementarity to avoid violence.
How can a woman force a man? Mr. Kufu?
Muki, there are women. Well, there is no taboo subject as we're talking this. There are women who are sexually very active. Yes, sexually very active. So much so that some of them can have sex within an hour with even 10 men.
You take responsibility what you say.
That's why I said there is no, I don't want to say there's a taboo subject.
I'm just wondering, because a woman can be raped because a man is ready psychologically.
Yeah.
But how would a man be raped?
At times you come back from work, you are exhausted. Whereas when she stayed back home, she was maybe watching some movie on TV and she got excited and was in the mood. You come back, you are excited with all the problems maybe you had at the workplace. You come back, you want to have a nap before maybe you think about that some other time. She's already ready, she's hot. What does she do? She unbuttons you. Is that not rape, Monkey?
Madam, you want to react to what he's saying?
But I really want to react to many things that they have said.
Okay.
She first said men take refuge in bars because of psychological violence. One, I talked about physical violence, being very aware that there are other types of violence. The very issue of taking refuge in bars is already a psychological violence to the woman. Because men are escapists, I like the word that he used. when there are problems where they have to face the problems and talk it out to the women, they always escape to bars. They go and drink and come back. Yes.
And
so as a woman, sometimes you feel that he's there, it's okay. But if it's a problem, why can we not solve it? Why can we not talk over it? Why must you escape and go to the bar and sit there? There you leave me in isolation. And to tell you the truth, contrary to what he is saying, I think that women are very, very faithful, and I disagree with you when you say that they sit in the house, watch movies. Women have a lot of work to do in the house. And most of the time, men go about and have their sexual satisfaction outside and the rest. And sometimes they forget that the woman in the house too needs to be satisfied, and she depends only on that man. And when you come back, instead of saying to her problem, no, she's the one who is sexually harassing you. When did you last have sex with her? When? Where do you expect her to go to? Out there you can meet with million women, because men are practically polygamous. Even when they sign monogamy.
By nature.
Yes.
By nature, men
yes.
are
Yes. And they psychologically traumatize women with the many women that they have outside. And they can stay for 2 weeks without having sex with their wife.
A month.
Is she a stick? And now when problems come about, you escape to bars. So the very issue of escaping to bars causes, it traumatizes the woman.
Even when you have a
it's violence.
You go back home as pastor.
Yes. You violate the woman.
You no longer have a job. You go back home. Nobody respects you.
Nobody respects you. When you had that job, have you tried to find out what the man was doing? Probably intimidating the woman and the rest. It is always good to find out why the woman to react like that. Because some women really go through hell. They really go through hell.
You heard the bullets.
I
agree
with Madame Soube. I think as a counselor and somebody who is in the church with so many women about sex, the women are the most who refuse sex to men. You find very few men who refuse sex from women. And the women always use that as a tool to torture their husbands. It is the highest tool the women use in the house. And it is psychologically disturbing. And when a man does not have intimacy with the wife in the house, there is nothing that can please him. The woman can stay here 1 month, it doesn't mean anything to her. So she has food for her wife and for her children, and she can take care. But you, a man who comes when you need her, she turns her back. Especially when she needs something from you. You are being harassed. There are women, there are cases that women give conditions.
They use sex as a weapon.
As a weapon. They give conditions. I am asking you for this pair of shoes for 50,000. If you don't give the pair of shoes, you will not have it. Can you imagine what that man goes through? He's out there. When he goes to work, he's faced danger. He faced torture. He faced insult. When he comes back home, which is supposed to be a place of solace, there he gets fire. I have got many friends that they have told me, when they leave their houses in the morning, when they go out after job, they go and drink. When they enter the house, because they know as their legs enter the house, that is the door open, he's come, insult starts. The only thing he has to do, go and take a bath, sleep till next morning. Woman has a lot to do to fashion the life of a family. And when a woman is not steady spiritually, in order to give love both to the husband and to the children, that family can't be okay. You said women has potentials. Yes. And that's the potential they are using negatively instead of using it positively. Because a good wife in the house, when you enter, no matter how bad the husband is, he has all the means to bring that husband, to tame the husband. Even if the husband, I use the word tame.
Yeah. In
to
quotes.
tame the husband.
In quotes.
But many of the women's so-called culture today, Mr. Journalist, I'm telling you, it's terrible. I mean, cultured, those who have gone to school are the worst, who are giving their husband psychosis and trauma. You see cases where you visit me as a friend. I want to go and see you off. My wife tell me, no, don't go. They monitor you when you want to remove money to give to your family. They monitor you. Tell me, are you a child? Or what are you? What is she doing? She monitors every little bit of thing you are doing. And you are in constant psychosis. You are in constant fear. So anything you want to do, if she's not aware, it becomes a problem. Like she said, many men who are weak, what do? They have to escape.
Woman, Janet?
Yes, I have something to add. Yeah. Since I'm still on the side that both of them are equally at risk, I feel like the major problem of this generation is that we are trying to live a reality that doesn't exist. Why do I say so? In the past, a lot of our mothers were housewives. They didn't have jobs. Yeah, I grew up in a home where my mother, well, she was a seamstress, but she did everything at home. Now, in this generation, a lot of men say they don't want to marry liabilities. They want their women to work, which means they want the women to be as productive as the men financially, and then sexually, they want the women to be as active as our mothers. It is impossible, because a woman goes to work, comes back from work, attends to the kids, attends to whatever needs to be attended to at home, and then the man gets back and wants her to have that full energy to satisfy him in bed. And when she says no, it's a problem. So I feel like sometimes the men need to really dialogue with these women, and it's not a taboo for a man to assist with chores too. That's what I think personally. My dad did that all the time.
I want to cut you. Have you seen cases where when mama is coming, all the children run and hide in their rooms?
I've seen that, and
when
that's
Papa
too.
is coming also.
The majority of the cases
mostly
is when Papa is coming.
Yes.
When the mama is coming, all the children, she has come. Why? Because why is this DJ? Why is this 1 year? Why is this 1 year?
Yes, Reverend Tabi, because women are naturally programmed to keep the home in order.
Yes.
So if you want the women to keep the home in order, you want the women to support financially, which is something our mothers barely did, then don't expect them to be 100% present in bed.
Now, Mr. Kufo-Enes, what are the causes of women and men? Are they arguing that this is we bear the brunt, and those are what are the causes of this changing trends where there is increasing domestic violence and men and women are suffering?
Well, you see, Moki, the society in which we are today, the home is the microcosm of the macrocosm. And when the home is not functional, it is transposed into the bigger society. So I want to say the society in which we live now has a great impact, negative impact on the way our homes are being built. Why? Because we were talking to you a few minutes ago about men who are jobless or women who don't have their needs. Why are the men jobless? Because, well, the society is what it is. Yeah. Why are the women too demanding? Because the men cannot provide for them. So when you look at that, it causes domestic violence. We've been talking about sex. Sex is one of them, because in marriage, what seals that bond is the consummation of marriage, which is sex. And then you have childhood. From childhood, some people are naturally aggressive. Yeah. And when they grow up, that tendency, that attitude still develops in them. And then you have people who are choleric. Yes, at every one small thing they are irritated. They want to say, oh, why? But why? And then this attitude of men or women, one of the partners wanting to dominate over the other, causes domestic violence. And then you see, Reverend, I think when you have the floor, you talk about that, because the Bible says it clearly. Men, love your women, and then the women be submissive to your husbands. But when you look at most households today, none of these things is respected. That is why you find the bone of contention. There is always this wahala. This one is doing this one is doing this. And you see, apart from that, because I talked about society, one of the major causes is the lack of complementarity in the couple. When they are not complementary, when each one wants to go his or her own way, there is always that tendency of domestic or family violence. I think these are some of the causes.
Madam Cornelia, Mr. Desude, what can you add as causes of this? Somebody was suggesting in our WhatsApp channel that arranged marriages, I mean, people are not getting married today because of love.
Yes.
They don't get married for love, they get married for financial, material interests, for social interest and influence.
And
can it be another one of the reasons?
Yeah,
for
forgive me for cutting you short. Reverend just said that. Yes, that most men, or I think she's the one who said it, they don't want to get married to women who do not work. They all, even the students you teach in class, when you want to ask them today, no, they don't want to have anything to do with a woman who doesn't work. So we find ourselves as mothers, educators, struggling to empower the woman to be able to work if at all you want to get married. Because if you are nothing, a man will not also look at you. Today, men don't look at physical beauty. They look at what you have, what you have
upstairs
to,
there.
to
What you
offer.
have upstairs.
Yes, and that's one of their causes. So men to what they want is what is leading them into the problems that they face. Then I would like to differ with Reverend in something. Reverend, I want to find out from you how many men do you have in your church as compared to women?
Reverend, over to you.
There are more men. There are more men than women.
Then that's a peculiar more women. Thank you for that answer. Why? Because that's one of the causes too. You understand? I'm sorry that I'm a philosopher, but I'm an atheistic philosopher. I want to feel that the fear of God, as we say, is the beginning of wisdom. And it has so much to do in the family and in the society at large. So you find that many men, they don't want to go to church. They even use spirituality to attack the women psychologically. You find that most of the time, the men who come to church, the women pull them. And to tell you the truth, if most couples who go to church together, they always strive to succeed. But men don't want to go to church. I'm sorry for committing a fallacy of hasty generalization. That is what Reverend also committed when he said women. Because I think what you people are talking about is the minority. Yes, men suffer violence, but women do suffer violence more because men have more places to pick on women. Yes, I'll take an example. I'm a Catholic Christian, and there used to be this issue that if you are not married with your husband in church, you not take communion. You are not a communicant, or maybe you will not join groups like the CWA. They will not dedicate you if your husband does not bring you to church. And you used to find a priest announcing that it doesn't take money, it doesn't need anything. You can come, 2 of you and the witnesses and just a few. Let it not be that is because you are not able to entertain or whatsoever that people will not, that you not come and get married in church. And I want to tell you the truth. In my CWA group, I had more than 5 women who suffered. The men were deliberately suffering them on that issue.
They didn't want to get
yes. They will refuse. Even if the woman says, no, let me sponsor our going to church, they will, because they want to pick on you either for one reason or the other.
Reverend, the causes of this, what are the causes of the increasing domestic violence?
Yeah, I want to start. I know I have a point to defend here. I came here with a point to defend. So nobody's watching me to say, Reverend is supporting me. Let me defend my point in total. But if we want to talk about the causes, as they have enumerated, there are many of these causes. As they said, the causes, the society itself that we live has been transformed, has changed to what it used to be when we grew in the villages, where women had nothing to do. They respected their husbands. Now many women are educated. There's emancipation. They need to look for what to take care of themselves and take care of their husbands. Like many men now don't have jobs, women take care. And when a woman has the means, you know what it can follow. That's one of the, I don't know what is an advantage or disadvantage.
Many more women having jobs
and financial backing
when they're breadwinners in their family.
Yes. When they have that, I don't know. But from my experience, many of them who are really up there, there is that tendency of disrespect that I see. I'm not against women, but I'm saying what is happening in society. There's that tendency. Then, as if we want to go about on social issues, especially about religion, when our families are not built on the foundation of God,
Good.
There's the likelihood that these things should occur. When the society refuses to acknowledge that there is somebody that's ruling them, there is somebody that they have to accept, pay allegiance to, these things are due to occur, because we live in a society where there is good and evil. As John 10:10 said, the devil comes to do what? To steal, to kill, and to destroy. And God comes to do what? To restore life and life in abundance. So as she rightly said, a family that does not start with God automatically will go through what we are saying here. So that's one of the major causes. She said something there. If you find a family, the husband and the wife, that are glued in the things of God, you hardly find those things.
Yeah.
They may happen, but they will be limited. Yeah. You find even their children, even they don't have, it will reflect in their lives. The respect. So if you just carry the feasibility study and see what is happening outside, look at the children of broken homes, of these homes that there is violence. It is outside. You see their children, how they behave outside.
Well, we'll look at the consequences. Norma Janet, let me also ask you, do you have anything you want to add as far as the causes of this increasing?
I think that the causes of this increasing domestic violence, we have to look at childhood trauma. A lot of men are moving with unhealed childhood trauma. For example, when you look at our society, generally there are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of associations that handle issues with respect to women and girls. Everywhere you go, it's women and girls, women and girls, women and girls. It seems like there is a lot of attention that is being paid to women and girls to the detriment of boys and men. And so men have been unconsciously programmed by default to feel that if they speak up, then they are weak. Like I think it's the Reverend or Madame Isode, that said that. So they have been programmed like that. That is why when a man has a problem with his wife at home, a majority of men don't really talk. They won't call you and say, please, let's talk about this. They will just go out and allow you to figure it out. So I think we need to tackle it from the roots. Yeah. We need to start by not just paying attention to our girls as we are raising them, but we need to pay attention to the boys too. Everyone prepares girls for puberty. No one prepares boys. Everybody just keeps them aside. And that's why a lot of street children are boys. Yeah. People don't pay attention to them. So they grow up with unhealed childhood trauma and become maybe nuisance to their own homes and themselves. And a lot of suicide cases are men. They don't speak up. They don't speak up because they feel like they are too weak. So when it gets here, they feel like, okay, let me just end it and find myself in another realm. And they end it. So we need to heal the inner child.
And as a Kufo, is the fact that women are having more choices, they're also responsible. Remember, in those days, our parents will have their wives and they have others outside. But now women don't want to hear about it. You know, is it also one of the causes of this violence?
Well,
somebody said that men are naturally polygamous.
I want to say some of our women nowadays are too possessive.
Yes.
When you say
yes. So I'm too possessive in the sense that you see, in those days, our parents, thank God I grew in a village setting, and all of what you talking did I do too. I saw it. You had maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 mothers were there. They may be jealous, but that jealousy is not openly expressed. But today, monkey, it's a hell. If she only knows you have a deuxième or troisième bureau somewhere.
If she dreams or
And I like it because you always answer my question. Yes. Because I wanted to say that one of the reasons again for domestic violence is the promiscuous nature of men. Because there's this cultural perception that whatever a man does, you are saying, so whatever a man does is okay.
He's a man.
Yes, a man. Even at home, as I growing up, I'm a man. If I'm even the younger, I can do anything. But you are not supposed to do it. So when they get to their marriage homes, they find it normal to always cheat on their wives. And how do you expect me to feel? Because I'm working, we pay the fees of our children together or share responsibilities. And then I find out there somewhere, that you are paying fees for children. No, let's get to realities. Let's get to things. Yes. I'm telling you, these are things. I'm working on a book. And the book is what? Read my story. Although I want to change it that my story is better. Because when I used to be in the classroom as a teacher, we sit in the staff room. You need to hear that's situations that women find themselves in. Yeah. And sometimes, as she said, I think that's one of her concerns in her job. When you hear somebody's own, you feel better. You say, no, mine is better. So I have a book. I'll put it out with stories. And read my story, but I want to change it. My story is better. With terrible stories.
Just give us
men committing adultery to the extent incest inside the house. You leave the house, he's sleeping with the house girl, or maybe with one of your distant
not
relatives.
only men do that.
Women, yes,
women force.
I'm defending women here. I like that.
Very serious. Yeah, go on, madam. Are you done?
So that's what I was saying. Yes, that the promiscuous nature of men and they're cheating on their wives. I've seen it as common.
Pastor is also saying some women do the same. Of course. And what do they do? They do it.
Yeah, they do it. They tell you, okay, since you say you are this, I'll show you. So, okay, I'm saying. This very fact that we're laughing over it is not laughing matter, right? It's not laughing matter. I want to believe that somewhere we are insulting God. Yeah, because...
Ernest, when did you become a pastor?
That faithfulness in marriage is being exposed to the marketplace. And today, some marriages, I don't want to say the most, some marriages today are marriages of convenience. Yeah. Yes, we must say that. What does he do for life, for a living? He's this. And tomorrow, when he's no more there, what do I do with him? He has nothing to offer. So I said we shouldn't take it lying down or laughing matter, because 1 in 3 women the world over is battered. And I want to think that any man who batters a man is a savage. Is uncultured.
Who batters a man or a woman?
A human is uncultured. Because women are pearls. They are meant to be pampered. Because they mean a lot to us.
I'm sure your wife is watching now.
She's watching. And she, Mookie, let me tell you something. I'm speaking from experience or from what I do. Because I go to the market. Not that she sends me to the market. I go to the market. I used to wash diapers when they were still those former diapers. Yes, not today with the artificial ones they use and throw. I used to wash them.
Napkins.
Yes, napkins. I used to wash them. And today I still wash my clothes. The woman is not a tool in a house, or a delivery machine, or a punching bag which you have to punch at any time. No. So when you look at the report from the WHO, it tells us that 30% of women the world over suffer sexual and intimate violence. And the majority of the people in the world are women. If 30% already suffer that, well, 30% maybe 1 million, something, 1 billion, something like that. It's too much, Mookie.
Now, Reverend, when you receive these cases, whether they're from men or from women, how do you handle them?
Edwin, that is what it takes, the spiritual part of it, as I earlier said here. My co-panelist has said something there. The root causes of evil in the world is that evil, and we should understand, from creation, God, when he created man, he had to create a woman to be a helper. So when these cases come to me, what do? We find out and we give spiritual direction.
Yeah.
And that is why God has led us. There are cases that you need to reconcile. There are cases that need to go through spiritual follow-up. There are cases that you have a lot to do. That has to go right into deep from their homes. I mean from the wife's home or from the husband's home, because many have antecedents. This violence, if you trace, many comes either the father was as such, the mother was as such. There are families like that. That it has happened in those families for many years. So the role we play is not just to pick the man and blame or pick the man and blame. We try to trace where it's coming from. And what do we do now? We bring counseling. There is deliverance if there's a possibility, because in most cases the devil is at work.
Yeah.
And that is why some of us in the deliver ministry, when you come, you see when we pray, they say, I am this, I am that, because it is some other person that lives inside them that is working them to do such things. Suicide is not a normal thing, but it's the weakness. And when you are depressed, the devil tells you, you cannot do anything, take away yourself. And you take away yourself. So that's the reason why I want to call your attention. The government should allow churches, because they are building a society, the foundation.
Okay,
They are not
I wanted to
destroyed.
see a link between domestic violence and churches. Okay,
Yes.
churches are also attending to domestic violence cases.
yes.
The church has a very big role to play.
Yes,
But like all these days, you know how many families they have been calling, Pastor, when that is where we find solace.
Yeah.
That's where we find comfort. When we stay in our house, when we come to the church, we hear a message, or we dance, this thing, we go back home, at least the whole week we are carried away and everything. So it limits that domestic violence.
But are you not sure that some of the churches that are being sealed are also promoting domestic violence?
Of course,
Yes,
of course,
they do.
I don't refuse that.
They have separated families.
Yes, when I made authority,
They have seized wives from homes.
let me give this illustration. When I met one of the authorities, I don't want to call the name, he told me what a colleague as a pastor did in a home. That home was completely destroyed because extortion of money from the wife, and even taking the wife away from the man, and it could equally lead to the man's suicide situation. I don't refuse that, and that's why what I'm telling the government is that they have all the possibilities to make inquiries, to go down there and see who is doing what. They can fish out the bad seeds and leave the good ones. I think I told him like that. You go through, make your inquiries, you'll find out.
No, don't worry, Pastor. We're going to evaluate how this sealing of churches is going on, but not now. In another program. Now, Mama Janet, when they bring these cases to you, you are a trauma caregiver and you work in an organization called Mending Minds. When you see a woman or a man who's been battered, separated, how do you assist? How do you help them?
All right, we have one-on-one counseling sessions, and we also have support groups. We have support groups whereby we meet, we sit, and we are just vulnerable. We just talk about our problems and the things that really bother us. But what we realized is a lot of men are very reluctant to open up. Our support group doesn't have a single man. Men don't attend support group meetings. Now, let me talk about the women first. For the women, for most of the women that I have personally had one-on-one counseling sessions with, a lot of the women who have talked about cases of domestic violence have related it to the fact that they no longer look appealing to their husbands. And I want to bring that because I feel like social media has had a lot of impact too, because we have these magazine perfect girls that are presented everywhere. They are flawless. They have, figure 8 shape, no stretch mark, but they have 8 children. So, well, I don't know if those girls do exist, but there are a lot of young marriages now where the men expect the women to
like
continue looking like that. It is true that after childbirth, it is important to work on yourself, but it takes time, and a man has to be supportive. And I think one of the major reasons that a man has to even tell or expect the wife to get back in shape is for health reasons. It's not just because of the way the girl looks or the wife looks. So there are a lot of women that have made reference to the fact that they no longer look appealing to their husbands because they now have stretch marks. You met somebody at the age of 25, she was perfect, now she's 40. You want her to be exactly the way she was 15 years ago. That's not possible. Now, for the men say a lot of their wives compare them with husbands of their friends. My friend's husband gives her 500,000 francs per month for allowance even though she works. Why do you give me 80,000 francs? I work, but you are, you know, a lot of women nag when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
Because as we have all rightly agreed here, a lot of marriages are not really based on love. They are based on material gain. So we have counseling sessions one-on-one, and we have support group meetings. That's the main way in which we tackle these situations.
Our topic of discussion today is domestic violence. Are men or women more at risk? Mama Janet is a trauma caregiver from Mending Minds. Enes Akufo is a civil society member. Reverend Tabimba William, an educationist, a reverend pastor. Cornelia Mesode Sube is a philosopher. We're taking a break. We shall be back.